So the man suspected in a possible assassination attempt targeting former President Trump was charged with federal gun crimes, making his first court appearance in West Palm Beach. 58-year-old Ryan Routh is accused of possessing a gun despite having a felony conviction. Also, he had a firearm with an obliterated serial number, which is also against the law. Now, additional and more serious charges still possible as the investigation continues, and the Justice Department is going to seek an indictment from a grand jury. Prosecutors ask that he be held in custody as a possible flight risk, so he will stay behind bars. Now, Routh, of course, has left many of his views online. He also had a book where the quote, "You are free to assassinate Trump," was written. And that's gotten a lot of attention, obviously, in light of the most recent activities.
He was directing that to Iran.
That's right. He was talking about saying, he was angry about the whole situation with the Iran deal being ended by Trump during his time. And the book itself was called The Unwinnable War and has to do with Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
So he's clearly got some issues, especially when it comes to Trump and foreign policy. We do know that the FBI has investigated the situation at the location where he was stationed on the edge of the golf course. And apparently the Secret Service was able to spot him before he had a shot at Trump. So the good news is that he didn't really have a line of sight to fire on Trump, but it complicates the prosecutor's case because they don't have an obvious attempt on his life.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
The intent to kill the president, but he didn't get a shot. How do you charge that?
I don't know. I think that's going to be really
tricky.
Fascinating to see how that unfolds. He, I guess, camped out for 12 hours. Like, he brought food and stuff with him.
Well, so that kind of goes to that he knew that Trump might be golfing and was just kind of hoping he'd show up that day.
Yeah, and this idea that he might have had prior knowledge that Trump was going to be there, specific prior knowledge, not the general Trump may show up at the golf course today, that really doesn't hold up because everything we know and based on some of what we learned yesterday is that this was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing, and that was part of the issue for the Secret Service is this was kind of a last-minute decision by Trump to go play golf, so they didn't have the preparation time like you would typically see for a rally or, another event where it's more planned out, where they can scope out the place and all of that. There are also, I guess, well-known potential security issues with the golf course. So there are some questions about, were there certain areas where maybe they should have had somebody stationed because they were particularly vulnerable. I was thinking about this yesterday, too. If Trump is going to play golf at that golf course, quite frequently, and he's either been running for president or has been president or was a former president looking to run again for a long time now, how come they didn't fortify that end of the golf course?
Right, you would think that they would build a wall.
Build a wall.
Yeah.
Right, and have the taxpayers pay. No, I'm just kidding. But why wouldn't there be more of a fortification, especially along that particular stretch where it's so close to the road and the public? You've got pictures from photographers where they've taken shots of Trump golfing through, one of these little holes in the bushes and the fence.
Right, so if they can do that and get pictures, somebody can shoot him from there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Clearly the guy, well, it's not known for sure, but what was public was what Trump was doing at the end of Saturday. It was known he was returning to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
So it's possible the guy just knew that
and
said, you know what, I'm going to camp out because chances are if he's coming back to Mar-a-Lago and it's Sunday, he might be playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that for sure, but it sure seems like that was, his gamble by hanging out there that long. But one of the questions is if he could hang out there for 12 hours undetected, how many other times has that happened? And how vulnerable was Trump in the past? Because if they didn't notice this guy for all those hours, I mean, anybody could have done that at any time on any day and gotten away with it. So the Secret Service, of course, is sort of digging in, saying, look, our plan worked. We go hole by hole ahead of Trump, and we made sure that he was safe. We found a suspect. We took him out. And so Trump wasn't harmed and was actually not in any direct danger. So their argument is that, the plan worked.
Yeah.
But clearly, you're hearing from both sides, Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill, that maybe more money needs to be spent on the Secret Service and its ability to, fortify places like golf courses, which are, unusually large compared to most places that the president goes. And apparently the Secret Service had expressed concerns about golf courses that Trump played on in the past for the same reasons.
Yeah.
It just stretches them very thin when they have to cover that much territory.
Yeah, we've got a lot more on this, obviously, throughout the morning. We'll talk to ABC News legal analyst Royal Oakes about the charges and so many more details we learned overnight about the attempted assassin, the gunman, the alleged suspect here. So we'll get to all of that coming up in just a bit, too.
The mother of a child with autism who is tied to a chair at a Bradenton school has filed a lawsuit against the school board, the child's teacher, and the teacher's aides. Tequila Jones is accusing the school board of Manatee County of negligence, along with the teacher, Karina Chindamo, and the teacher's aides, Taylor Internicola and Hidalmi Ortiz, of false imprisonment and battery. Now, this happened at Rogers Garden Bullock Elementary back in February.
Yeah, this seems like kind of a layup for a lawsuit.
Yeah, I would think tying a kid to a chair. Yeah.
Well, I remember when we covered this story. Not good. And especially, it wouldn't be right no matter who the child was, but this is a child that couldn't communicate, had difficulty communicating,
right.
All of that.
And there's 3 teachers charged? So there's the teacher and the 2 aides. So between 3 adults, nobody said we shouldn't do this.
Right. Or at least they tried to cover it up.
There's no question that kids with special needs are a challenge for teachers, and in some cases they can be very difficult. But you got to have people in there who are qualified and have the right aptitude to handle that. Otherwise, the kids could be put in danger, like in this case. Tying kids to chairs and doing those things because they don't like the tantrums or they don't like the the behavior is just not acceptable. And it looks like, based on the lawsuit, Manatee County could be paying a big price.
Yeah, you're supposed to tie unruly flight passengers to chairs, not children. Not children in school.
Yeah, or duct tape.
Yeah, exactly. One or the other.
So there's a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the person responsible for making a threat against a Hillsborough County high school. The sheriff's office announced the reward for what's been going on at Newsom High School in Lithia. The school was on lockout status for several hours on Friday after a threat to shoot a teacher and bring a bomb to campus. So yesterday, they had extra security precautions. People were going through added searches for people going into the building because of this ongoing threat that they haven't been able to resolve.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see them add, on top of the charges that are filed against these kids who call in these threats or make these threats online, on top of the actual charges, they should make the family pay for all the law enforcement resources that have to go into dealing with this kind of stuff, and add that on top and see if that starts to straighten some of these parents and kids out.
Right, it's becoming such an issue. It's sucking so many resources from police departments. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think Volusia County, we talked about it yesterday, the sheriff there was like, this is costing, thousands of dollars.
Are we going to play the audio of that sheriff going off about it?
Yeah, he was really pissed off. Yeah, it's becoming a real problem.
Yeah, and here in our area, there have been complaints from virtually all the school districts that this is just becoming an epidemic.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, there's only so many resources, but at the same time, do you not investigate and then have a situation where, something happens and you didn't take it seriously enough?
Yeah, they have to take them all seriously.
Yeah,
That's the
you
problem.
have to these days. All right, Chris Trankman with today's top stories. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you.